I could just say, hey, Jim, this is BROCK-KK4.
Hey, Brock, how's it going, bud?
Hey, doing pretty good. Yeah, the conditions aren't real good today, and it seems, but I can't get my Lumpkin Schools SDR to come up today for some reason.
I'll tell you, I'm having trouble. I'm running about half staff today. I've got New York, and I've got Georgia, and that's about it. I can't get in anywhere myself, you know?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's Phantom SDR LumpkinSchools.com or something like that. But anyway, I just was passing by and wanted to say, wave my hand, say hey to you. Sounding good there, buddy.
Roger. Well, what you been up to, Brock?
About 5'11", if I stand up straight. Last night, the 94.7 transmitter and the repeater in Edwardsville, Indiana, got smacked by lightning, and it wiped out a little bit of stuff. And we got her back on the air last night about 6 p.m., the FM station, and then also got the 2-meter repeater back. I think we actually took a hit right on the tower, but it didn't wipe out a whole lot. It hit the downlink from the satellite, and it also hit the internet and wiped out all the coax. Man, I got some horrible pictures of burn up coax.
Wow, man, oh man. I would have thought for sure it tripped all the circuit breakers.
It did. Yeah, it popped 3 circuit breakers, and one of them was the repeater, and then the other one, it's only 2 circuit breakers, and the other one was the block heater for the generator. And I haven't looked at that yet. I hope it didn't mess up our generator.
Well, hopefully not, because, hopefully it was just been sitting on the side there, not connected to anything, and, be like brand new, Roger.
Yep. Well, that's what I did all day yesterday, played around over there in Edwardsville, and other than that, clean church today, and we try to keep the air conditioning systems going there, and having a lot of fun with the N4TNS repeaters and HF. I got a brand new radio and a brand new microphone and a brand new antenna and a brand new amplifier.
Good Lord! How'd you do that? You must not have ran it past the major yes or no person.
Oh man. Well, that's not brand new. This is the $15 karaoke mic from the 7th Street Flea Market downtown Louisville there, and I got a FTDX 101 Delta, and it's not brand new, but I got an AL80B 1,000-watt amplifier and a full-wave loop about 25 feet in the air, a 40-meter full-wave loop, but underneath it is a highly reflective screen. It's kind of like chicken wire, except it's a hardware cloth, if you know what that is. It's a hardware cloth reflector underneath the loop.
Roger that. What station is out there on that Edwardsville tower?
That's the 94.7, the Christian radio station, Reward Broadcasting, and then there's also iHeartRadio 93.1.
Boy, now a couple more, and you could retire on that tower.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's the commercial radio stations. But we have the N4TNS Club has the 147 460 minus 2.5 meg split, which is coordinated like that. It's not 0.6, it's 2.5 meg split, and then it's also connected over there in Fairdale at 442.5 standard split.
Roger. Well, it's been quite a while since I've been on 2 meters or 70 centimeters. I just mainly do this gig primarily, Roger.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a lot of fun. I think I like to listen to you, and I think it's pretty cool, actually.
Roger. Well, I got thinking about 2 meters and 70 centimeters. I have the Big Mama I forget who makes it, but it's like about 16 feet long. And it's on a 20-foot, well, about a 15-foot pipe out of the rotor. But, I've got vertical polarization on that antenna, running it vertically polarized. So I had to do something for the last 5 feet, because, if you think about it, when you run that beam's 13 elements or 14 elements vertically polarized right beside the support mass, there's bound to be some detuning because of this metal in close proximity, and also similarly phase angled vertically as the other elements. So there's bound to be some detuning there. So I use a wood piece for the last 5 feet to keep any reaction down from the elements. Roger?
Oh yeah, Jim, this KK4CZ loaded. When me and Glenn Moody were doing satellites, we used solid fiberglass rod, about 1/2 inches in diameter, and then we shellacked it or coated it somehow so it wouldn't splinter out. But that's what we used on our cross booms, I think it is. Because of that problem you're talking about, the elements or the boom or the cross beam or whatever, a piece of metal's in the way, right? It has to skew the pattern or the gain and all that. But yeah, that's what Glenn and I used to use. Roger that.
Roger. Now, right in the middle where the vertical the dipole meets in the support mass, the boom, it's almost imperative that, it's not really sensitive. Right in the middle where they come together, it's not really sensitive very much. You can use a metal boom there. But when you get out towards the tips of the elements, they become very ticklish about any metal being around there. So I used fiberglass in the past, but this time I just used a chunk of, I think a 2x2 or something like that to get up about 5 feet higher. And then I had to rope support the ends because I couldn't use the metal end supports that were designed for that antenna, so I had to use a rope coming down off the top to each end to support the ends to keep it from drooping. Roger? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, we started out with wood and coated it and all that, and it worked real well. It was just a little twisty because that was our cross boom, and it's kind of twisted around a little bit in the high winds and all that. But there's also something else, change the subject just a little bit. I know you probably want to get back to your, finding people to talk to. I'm just a regular old guy. I'm nobody special. So, but I'm using like I said, the AL80B, Jim. I got one radio, 2 amps, and 2 antennas. One radio, this radio, the 101 Delta, and then 2 on 40 meters. We're talking 40 meters only. And then we're talking a quarter wave phasing line coming out of the radio, 2 of them out of the radio, out of a T connector, out of the radio, 2 29-foot pieces of RG11, and then one feeds the AL80B, and the other piece of 29-foot RG11 75 ohm feeds the Kenwood TL922.8. Then the one amplifier feeds the loop, and then the TL922.8 feeds the 40 meter vertical. And the one amplifiers run 700 watts, and the other ones run 800 watts, 1500 watts. Roger. Well, you could use AB switch out of the radio RF out and run, 2 different lines out of that AB switch to whichever power amp you're going to run. I doubt you would be running both at once.
Well, I am. I'm running 2 amplifiers, 2 antennas, one radio, 2 amps, 2 antennas, and the key line's got blocking diodes, so both amplifiers are keying simultaneously, and then I'm feeding the amplifiers via the radio, and they end up being about 800 watts and 700 watts. So one amp is on the loop, and the other amp is on the vertical.
Roger. So I'm just trying to think, are they all in phase? How would you check the phase angle to be sure they're all with proper phase to each other?
Oh, well, yeah, there's two, like I said, there's a T connector, a short jumper, then a short 50 ohm jumper going into a T connector, and then that T connector is feeding two identical 29-foot 3-inch, I think it is, plus or minus the velocity factor foam is 0.88, 88, whatever, but identical pieces of 75 ohm coax, and then when it gets to the amplifier, it ends up being 50 ohms output. So they're in phase. I mean, I guess, I don't know, I'm transmitting vertical and horizontal at the same time. I could probably have just fed two antennas with 1 amp if you want to get right down to it.
Roger, Roger. Okay, so I got you covered. Now, think about this. Think about the SDR down the road there, whichever one is your favorite SDR, at 600 miles or 200 miles or 100 miles, somewhere in there, maybe 600 miles. Fire them one at a time. Fire one up and do a quick switch to bring both of them online, and listen to your SDR back channel and see what happens, and see if the signal goes up, goes down, if you lose the top end, you're out of phase on the top end. Roger?
Yeah, well, they're both 50 ohm antennas, and the amps are 50 ohms. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I really can't do that. I was thinking about that. And if I cut off one amplifier, half the radio's power is going nowhere, and the other half. So it's kind of hard to switch it. Once I get it balanced and both 75 ohm pieces are feeding both amplifiers and they're both tuned, to max legal. I'm doing 1500 watts, max legal. But one amplifier is on 240 volts, the other one's on 120 volts. LG&E's loving me. It's making that meter out there spin like crazy.
Roger, Roger. I wonder if you could take your drive up to 100 watts and then use series resistors, identical series resistors, to feed the two to power amps, so you wouldn't have to make all those phase angle runs there. But let's see, so then you would want to have that, so identical resistors, the way you get say 50 watts divided by, or 100 watts divided by 2 through load resistors.
Yeah, I could. I just playing around, Jim, and I just trying it out. In fact, I started out as one amplifier and then a T connector out of that 1 amp, the 1500 watt, and then it was teed off in two 75 ohm coaxes at 29 feet 3 inches. It ends up being 7.2. Something like that, for a quarter wave. It's a quarter wave 75 ohm, both sides. And then a barrel connector feeding the loop and a barrel connector feeding the vertical. So it's about the same thing, I'm guessing. And, I don't know. I've noticed the QSB is a lot lower. If it's a lot of QSB on that day, you can flip from vertical to horizontal. The guy will be stronger on the vertical, and bam, and then he goes down, and then he comes up on the horizontal side, back and forth and back and forth. So I thought, let me just feed both of them, and to me, it feels like, and it's kind of non-scientific, but it feels like the QSB is a lot lower instead of going from a 5 to a 9 and 5 to a 9, back and forth, vertical, horizontal. It's more like 8 to 9, 8 to 9. It feels like that. That was on one station I was listening to.
Oh, Roger that. Well, I'll tell you what, man. What I would do would be sure. They have Gorilla Tape in white. You can get Gorilla Tape in white now, and I sure would ID all those coaxes with, just take a piece of Gorilla Tape and just run it around one time and smash it all down and cut it off, and you've got a nice little tag there for what that antenna is, because sometimes when you get a bunch of coax up there, it's sometimes you think you got it under control, but sometimes you may not. So, but a little ID on the coaxes were just a nice little insurance policy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is KK4CZ talking with KC9VKV, and I'm kind of holding you up from fixing people's audios and all that. I haven't heard you in a long time, dude, and just wanted to say hey to you. But Jim, I do that. I've learned that lesson the hard way. Oh man, golly, it's almost impossible to recover. What's this coax do? Oh my gosh, what does it do? You put meters on it and all that. I guess it's 70 centimeters, and then that's 2 meters also. Oh man, yeah, I've learned that lesson the hard way, Roger.
Roger, and particularly when you have two radios involved. If there's only one radio and you're standing beside it putting the coax in, hopefully everything's copacetic there. But when you have two radios, that's almost double trouble, Roger.
Oh my gosh, yes, sir. I've been there, done that over and over. Seems like I've pretty much learned by now, I've been a ham all my life. I just recently got licensed back in the 80s. But, okay, Jim, hey, gather up some people there. I'm going to go upstairs and get something to drink. What time is it? 4:06, and I'm going to ooze upstairs for a minute. But I'll come back if you don't have anybody to talk to, or, conditions are kind of stinky right now. They really are, huh? 40 meters. It's bad all the way up the band, all the way to 20 meters and 15. It's shot, completely shot. It was a while ago. So, all right, Jim, KC9VKV, Jim over there in Indiana somewhere. This is Brock, Obama, KK4CZ here in Louisville, Kentucky, at 9th Street and shots fired. Roger?
Roger, now, gosh, at some time, I want to talk to you about the Moody operation out there by Moby Dick and the antenna systems and just exactly what you guys were up to. I've heard all my life about you guys, and I just thought maybe we could talk about that some, Roger.
Yeah, okay, I sure will. Let me go upstairs and get something to drink. My voice is getting crackly. And plus, I've got to go to the used drink department, if you know what I mean. And I think my dog's bouncing around the back door. So she wants to go out. So I got to do 3 things. Dog's got to go, I got to go, and I'm going to get something to drink. Roger?
Roger, keep it all under control. If you get a chance, come on back. We'll talk a little bit. Well, gosh, we're going to go around one more time or so, unless Brock's around, and we can talk about the sun shooter or the moon shooter, or whichever one that was. Brock, you still out there?
Brock, you still out there? Let me turn off this SDR so I don't echo. There we go. Yeah, it's Brock, KK4CZ Louisville.
All right, now, here it comes. I've been past that Moby Dick out there. I don't know exactly where it is, but I've been past it. And every once in a while, I've seen this giant antenna, long son of a gun, a lot of radios. Now, just tell me what was going on out there.
Now, if you're talking about, Jim, this is Brock, KK4CZ, with KC9VKV, and I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, transmitting 2 antennas, 2 amplifiers, 1 radio. Anyway, are you talking about it 3rd and Winkler, Jim?
Yes, sir. Right beside that Moby Dick there.
Yeah, that's where we had all the experimental CB radio and amateur radio transceivers, transmitters, and at one time we were putting out, believe it or not, and I've got pictures and proof, and it's like we put out almost 30 to 35,000 watts of AM power, and on 27.255 megahertz, and on AM. and we had to make our own antennas, and we used 1 5/8 inch coaxial cable with connectors and all that. And Moby Dick, Third Winkler, had 4 fryers. So he had 4 480 volt, 3-phase, 60 amp. I'll say it again. 480, 3-phase, 60 amps each circuit breakers. So there was 4 60 amp 3-phase circuit breakers in the restaurant, and this amplifier run on 480, 120 amps, 3-phase. So we put 2 phases to the circuit breakers together, and then run an extension cord into the commissary right next door to the restaurant there, where you see the antennas on top of it. And we would run that amplifier. It run just about 100 amps. Do the math. 100 amps, 480 volts. 100 amps, 480 volts, 3-phase. And the only time we could run that was when the restaurant was closed, because we had to use 2 of the fryer power supplies coming out of the 3 transformers over there by Walgreens. So yeah, that's basically what it was, and a lot of it is satellite work. A lot of Oscar 10, Oscar 13 satellite work. Go ahead.
Roger, did you ever have any customers coming out of that Moby Dick kind of glowing, it was, as it were?
Yeah, we preheated the fish with RF energy. Oh my gosh. You know what? That amplifier was one of 9 amplifiers made for the Saudi Arabian government for their point-to-point communications back then, as before the internet and satellites and all that. And so they had point-to-point communications, and like on a blackout day today. Today's blacked out, right? They'd had 0 problems on 40 meters or any frequency. It was from 0.5 megahertz continuous coverage to 30 megahertz. The amplifiers were continuous coverage from half a megahertz, the AM broadcast band, to 30 megahertz. A roller inductor, a huge roller inductor. That was a lot of fun.
Roger, now, was the central thrust of the operation out there to moon bounce, or what was that?
Oh, yeah, we did some moon bounce, Jim, and we also did satellites, Oscar 10, Oscar 13, and some of the lower flying birds there. If you remember W4MOP, oh gosh, what's his, God darn, what was W4MOP's name?
Gosh, got me.
So, somebody keyed up and said something. What? I didn't get, somebody keyed up. Anyway, so yeah, we did that. That's what we did. From there, they had satellite antennas on as-L rotors and all that.
Roger. Now, clue me in here. You were pulse modulating probably that moonshot going out. Were you pulse listening in the blank pulses coming back?
No, that was sideband. No, we had sideband. We was doing upper sideband, and we were following the coattails of G4JUJ. He had a huge satellite or moon bounce system, G4JUJ. I believe that's the right one. It's somewhere in Ruislip, England, and I believe that's right. I might be wrong on that, but it's some dude in England, and we would follow the. We didn't have that much. We only had 1,500 watts uplink power, 70 centimeters, which ended up being about 40,000 watts ERP uplink. But he had 500,000 watts uplink, and we were riding his coattails. We couldn't do it by ourselves. We were riding his coattails, and we also talked to the one of the shuttles.
Roger. So you were on 70 centimeters, is that it, Roger?
Yes, sir. 3 bags full, 435, I believe it was, Jim, and had 1,500 watt Henry, which we did about 2,000 watts, right? And it had 2 40 CXs, which was 80 elements uplink and 80 elements downlink. So we it was simplex, uplink, downlink, and that's where we got our moon bounce. There's only about 5 stations we could talk to on the moon, because there's only 5 stations that actually could do that, and we really couldn't do that. The big boys, the 5 big boys, would bounce up there with us, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Got some QSL cards and all that, and me and Glenn did that a whole lot over there. KK4CZ, Louisville, Kentucky.
KC9VKV, Qso-Vlog net for Friday afternoon. Most interesting there, Brock. Did you ever hear any signals coming back that you didn't know where they were coming from, like maybe originating on moon?
Yeah. I tell you what, when the moon was at apogee all the way out, not perigees all the way in, apogees all the way out, it's over 250,000 miles out. We would revert to CW, because that's the only way you could hear, sideband. And the noise level, it depends on if it was high elevation or low. If it was low elevation, we'd pick up a lot of terrestrial noise. So we always shot for the higher elevation, and perigee as close as we could get, about 200,000 miles out. And so it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Let's see, W4MOP. He had the 9-4. Who was that?
Didn't copy anybody, but let's see. What is that called when you leave a vapor trail? Not a vapor trail, but an excited RF signal along the way. Oh gosh, what is that?
Now the great big amplifier, we had St. Elmo's fire problems. We couldn't use an antenna that had an end effect, like a half-wave dipole or anything like that. It had to be a closed loop antenna and very smooth corners, very, very smooth, so they wouldn't shoot fire out of the end. St. Elmo's fire, we had a lot of problems with that. We burn up antennas and coax connectors and burn up circuit breakers, and oh man, it was a mess.
Roger. What's the other name for St. Elmo's fire? The lights up in Canada sometimes do that.
Oh, you're talking about the Aurora, what is that, Northern Lights?
The Aurora, yeah. What was that government station that everybody thought was off the air, but they're still on the air? And I forget what it is, but they're generating something like, 500,000 watts. And they, after a while, they turned it off, and the Aurora in the line that they were transmitting stays lit, even though the transmitter's off.
Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yep. But we had some really strange. We had a lot of dead birds on the top of the roof. Lots of dead birds, and they just would fly too close, and we'd transmit and just fry them right there in the air. And it's pretty bad. I'll tell you, I don't know. And I don't know how we never did get caught, running that kind of crazy ass power. It's unbelievable. But do you know that Jim, that transmitter, it's a 2-piece unit, power supply, hyperstill transformers, all that. 2-piece unit, one great big huge 3CX, maybe the 4CX, 3 or 4CX, 20,000 A7. Tubes with handles, right? And but do you know that amplifier is still here in Louisville, Kentucky?
Wow. Now, as a child, in my CB days, I remember going to my local RNC place, the rural electric place, and getting me a 5 or 10 kW oil-filled transformer. And this is my plate transformer for 5 572Bs. And this thing, I put the the diode block inside the transformer. And I dumped the oil out because I didn't think I would ever use that much of it for my power, but as it went on, I just kept adding 572Bs, and we kept the purple haze. Matter of fact, I could trip a fuse, and I could walk out of the room by the light of the tube cherries. Roger?
Oh yeah. We had a lot of fun with that, and that thing would absolutely heat up the room no matter what. I don't care if it was dead of winter. We had to finally pipe the hot air outside because it would just boil us inside. It was terrible. It had like a furnace blower in the bottom. It was real noisy, but yeah. So what Glenn and I did, like I said, they made 9 for the Saudi Arabian government. And the first one was a prototype, and that's the one we got. We got the prototype, and it had holes drilled in it and all kind. It's kind of ratty looking, and but the other 8 got sold. They were made right here in Louisville, Kentucky, all 9 of them. And they actually sold 8 of them after the prototype. And then me and Glenn found the prototype, and we bought it for almost nothing. I mean, like $1,000, like $1,000 or something, and had it hauled over to the restaurant and the commissary downstairs. This is all downstairs inside the commissary down there. But yeah, those are fun times, man. Had a lot of fun. Oh, we got the WAT award, Whiskey Alpha Tango award. You know what that award is?
Work all states simultaneously.
No, T. Worked all TVs.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And we was on AM. Right? And, of course, everybody could hear us through their stereo speakers. Our audio was coming through perfectly for miles around. And here comes a little old lady. I mean, she was 170 years old. She banged on Glenn's basement door. On the door over there, right next to Moby Dick at Third Winkler, and she'd bang, 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 and she'd yell out the window, Glenn, and Glenn come out. And the short story is you're getting into my floor furnace, Glenn. I hear you in my floor furnace. He said, no way, you're drunk again, Mabel, or whatever her name was. And she's pestering us all around. You're getting into my floor furnace, Glenn. Stop it. He said, Brock, would you go over to Mabel's house and see if I'm getting into the floor furnace? Daggone if he wasn't being, you could hear it real tinny sounding. Beep, 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 beep. You could hear his voice, Brock, am I getting into the floor furnace? Yeah, you are, Glenn. I called him back up on the phone. Yeah, you want to hear it? He said, damn, I'm getting into the floor furnace.
Roger. When I was working with WHAS, and their 50,000 watt, they had 2 50,000 watt transmitters, sometimes 3, but they were always joking about they had two power sources available. If one went down, they could go to another power source, and these, they're transmitting 50,000 watts, so they're probably consuming 100,000 watts easy, this AM. And they were saying, well, we are now coming out of hair dryers and toaster ovens.
I know it. And you're saying that as a joke, but that's the truth. I'm telling you. Glenn and I, it's okay, Mabel, we'll fix you up next day. And I went over there and I crawled under her, floor area as a crawl space, and it used to be, the floor furnace used to be an old oil fired. It used to be oil fired. Now it was gas fired. It got converted over to natural gas. So at one time, that floor furnace was oil fired. Guess what? It made carbon, and there was carbon between the plates, metal plates in the floor furnace. And I had to take that floor furnace all apart and clean all the carbon out of it, so she wouldn't hear him at 3 o'clock in the morning talking on CB radio at 30,000 watts out.
Roger. Now, I guess that the metal in the stuff that went from room to room was actually channeling the RF, Roger.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's detecting the RF. It's kind of like an old carbon microphone, I guess, or something. It was, diode is dioding. Somehow it was dioding the, if we was on sideband or FM, it probably wouldn't have bothered her, just a bit muffled or something. But I heard somebody else break in there. The other or somebody else. Go ahead. I'm standing down.
Kilo 4 Juliet Tango Alpha. Hey, bro. No, I was just sitting here. I was enjoying listening. Just wanted to let you know I was in there.
Oh, okay, Jeff Bodine, the Monster Bocine there. Hey, Jim, KC9VKV. That's Jeff. He's over there in Smithfield, Smithville, Smithsonian. That's Jeff. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hello, Jim. Yeah, my name is
Jeff.
Foxtrot, and I'm located in the county of Henry County, little town called Smithfield, and I'm roughly about 30 miles northeast of Louisville. I'm about 30 miles northeast of Mr. Brock.
Roger, Jeff. I've got a really good copy on my local antenna. You look to be maybe 10, 15 over. Roger.
Yeah, both you guys sound really good to me. You're both pushing 15, 20 over on your peak, and but I'm just running a Icon 7610, just 100 watts in a wire.
It sounded mighty good. Let me see. Let me go up towards Cincinnati and see if I got a copy. You come back and talk to me for just a minute.
All right.
Just a minute.
All right, I'll give you a little bit of RF in the air. This is Kilo 4 Juliet Kentucky, over.
Roger, got a good copy on my my Kentucky SDR. It's up around Cincinnati, just on the Kentucky side of the Ohio River, right at Cincinnati. Sound good there? Sound great on my local antenna too, sir. So thanks for checking in, Roger.
Roger that. Well, I've just been sitting in here the last 10, 15 minutes. I just finished work, and I was tuning around. I like to listen more than I talk, but I heard you guys, and I recognized Mr. KK4CZ, the cold zipper. That's in the wintertime. Now, in the summertime, he's just crazy zipper, Roger.
Oh, Roger. Yeah, well, the rule is you can't work on antennas in the summertime. You have to wait till it's 40 degrees below zero to do any kind of outside antenna work, Roger?
Yeah, isn't that the truth? That wouldn't be a challenge any other way, right?
Oh, Roger. See, you make much faster decisions when you're freezing to death.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I'm going to back out, but thanks for letting me say hello. I just heard Brock. I was tuning around. I thought, well, there's Brock. And I like to aggravate him every time I hear him on the airwaves. So, Jim, good to hear from you. Hope you and your family have a great weekend ahead. And thanks for letting me say hello to you. Brock, we'll catch you on the local airwaves there. K4JTA, 73, guys.
Roger, Jeff. 73, sir. Sounded really good. Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate it. And back to you, Brock. Final word.
Sure, yeah. Okay. Yeah, Jeff, JTA, just Tango Alpha, wherever it is, anyway. Yeah, me and Jim go way back. He's used to be a broadcast engineer. He is still a broadcast engineer. He gets on 88 here and helps some of the boys out with their audio and all that, gets them cleaned up, gets the muddiness out of them and all that. But yeah, he that's what he likes to do on Fridays. He does that Fridays for about 90 minutes or a couple hours. So it's and I'll just kind of help him out. He has about 15 SDRs around him all over the United States that he tries to listen to everybody. But the conditions right now really suck. Put it bluntly, it's almost a radio blackout. But all right, Jeff Bodine, the Monster Machine. We'll see you later on there, little buddy. K4JTA, KK4CZ, Lousyville, Kentucky. 9th Street, shots fired.
All right, Brock, good to talk to you, man. Really enjoyed it, and don't be such a stranger. Drop by anytime. We'll hash and rehash, and you know, you are a living legend in this area. You survived the days of high power, 50,000 watts shooting the moon, whatever. You know, just surviving that physically. Coming out of that is nice. I mean, it's all kinds of opportunities for disaster lurked during those times. You know, it just took one arc, and you know, I'm trying to think about it. You know, obviously at the end of the antennas, you're at the particularly like a dipole. You're at the apex of the voltage curve. So you know, the arcs would occur at the tips of elements, like particularly you know, running high power on a 440 antenna, you know, is really something else. And sometimes I guess you could get an arc going there that would go actually from element to element. You know, if you ran enough power, you're going to, you know, the arc, you know, at a KW, there's about an inch or 2 inch arc on a dipole antenna at the tips. Anyway, it's enough to. I had a piece of TV transmission line that I was using for 80 meters, and part of it ran over a lower limb. And when I did inspect it finally after a couple of years, it had burnt through the insulation into the tree on that antenna. So I know there's a lot of circulating voltage out there in the tips of dipole antennas. So I put a hose sleeve over through this you know, transmission line antenna, and to just insulate it off the limb, and it seemed to work. I didn't see anything else burning up there, but there are a lot of circulating volts at the end of a dipole antenna, and everybody must remember that if they happen to be in the neighborhood with a KW amount of power. All right, so let me get out of here. 73 Brock, catch you later, sir. Good to talk at you. This is Jim, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor, and we got to return this frequency back to normal amateur radio use. Hey, Brock, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Roger. I just had some trouble with my preamp, and I just got it back in line, and hadn't really had a chance to set it up. Does it sound all right?
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. There's some other interfering RIDI coming in there. I don't know where that's coming from.
Oh, you know, it's hard to tell. QRMers are everywhere. You just never know who the QRMer is. The one that you would least expect becomes the offending station. Anyway, let me say 73 Brock. Catch you later, buddy.
All right there, Jim. VKB, Jim. Yeah, well, if they make me mad, I'll turn on my amplifier. My big one. Anyway, so I've set trees on fire and everything. You got to run a closed loop. If you're running a whole lot of power, you got to run a closed loop. You can't run a dipole. You can't run a beam with a standard dipole, the gamma match and all that, or even a T match. You have to use a loop type antenna every time. You know, you start going 2,000-3,000 watts. Well, I mean 1,500 watts. You know, you got to use a loop. Hey, all right. Hey, catch you later. And yeah, it's good. Good talking to you there, Jim. My main radio broadcasting type station, WHAS broadcaster. Yeah, you're a hoot. I love you, man. All right, catch you later. And don't worry about them QRMers. I'll just put the pedal to the metal, and you won't hear a thing. We'll see you later. It's Brock, not Obama. KK4CZ, Louisville, Kentucky. 9th Street. Shots fired.
Roger, Brock. I was just thinking on the. I've got three 10-foot vertical magnetic loop antennas, and I was just amazed. The circulating voltage at the end of a magnetic loop is even more than, you know, anything. I mean, it's you got to use 2-inch spacings on your tuning capacitor to keep from marking on those, and that's pretty strong, Roger.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, you can see some of those small loops. I'm talking about a full-size, full-wave loop, but that's what I use. You know, to keep the arcing and sparking down. I've got pictures of Debbie. Well, Debbie would be operating the station, and I was watching my SWR. I was on 160 one day with an inverted L. Okay, that's quarter wave. Well, you know what the end of a quarter wave voltage is like. It's super high at 1500 watts, especially on 160. And the SWR is going up and up and up and up. And I said, what is this creeping up? And everybody says they hear some crackling in my audio. I said, well, Debbie, and you know, I went off channel. I said, I'm going to go outside. It's dark outside. Went outside, and I got a picture of on the end of my inverted L, quarter wave inverted L. I got like 3,000 feet of radials in the ground right now, even. And there's a and I've got a picture of it. Of it doing a movie actually, and it was, you know, sizzling. It was St. Elmo's fire, about 4 or 5 inches long, and it's blue and red and sizzling. And she was, you know, off frequency saying audio, and you could hear her in the sideband mode. You could hear her in the fire. I swear, I've got it on video. You could hear her. It's nasally sideband, but you could hear her in the fire.
Oh yeah, Roger. Well, I recall in my younger days, before I was in the 50 kW range, I was at KWs, and we once had a fire at one of our stations, and they had to move the production to below the tower. So I had, this was just a KW station, and I could hear the plate modulating on the syllabics. You just kind of stuff. You couldn't hear the low frequencies, but you could hear the high frequencies, Roger. Yeah, and as a closing note, I had a high-power Mobile CB radio, right? Probably about 1,1800 watts, something like that, a 10 pill, or however you call them. And I had a some kind of a fiberglass antenna. Well, that fiberglass antenna, I touched the tip of it, and it started arcing, you know, and I started talking, and as this thing was arcing, it was carboning up on the tip. It was the fiberglass was getting black and burnt, and I could yell into the AM microphone as the AM radio. And, you know, you could hear my voice perfectly, hear my voice coming out of that fire. It just works like that. It's just the way that stuff works. Roger. Yeah, you know, I was thinking the other night, I was reading up on Marconi and Tesla and who did what, why, and, you know, we always work on somebody else's back. That is, you know, there are folks that come before us that accomplish certain things, and we pick up the charge from them and carry forth and do other things. And I was just thinking what it would be like that Marconi was out near the ocean there up in Newfoundland or around through there, and his station over in England was sending out Morse code. They were sending out the S dot, and over and over and over in a series of S's, and that he would copy that. And I was wondering, you know, like today, if somebody were to take a spark gap transmitter and hook it to a 40-meter tuned antenna, and, you know, them folks didn't have much ability to be able to put it on various frequencies. It was kind of crude, and I would think that the last thing that would determine its radiation pattern would be the antenna tuning maximize the signal. And so if you had a spark gap transmitter and I was listening on this frequency and you were on a 40-meter antenna, I wonder if I could hear that spark gap transmitter.
Oh, I guarantee it. Yeah, we've played with that when I was a kid. I went to I did that in physics in grade school. Yes, sir, sure did. Yeah, we made a spark gap transmitter in grade school in Kansas. And we got clear across the room. It was actually popping the gap. The receiver was a gap, and it was probably, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch, maybe even less. And it was popping that gap just across the room. And I don't know what kind of antenna. It's super, super wide banded. You know it is. It's it's all up and down the band. Of course, the conditions got to exist. F1, F2 layer, E layer, all that, to get across the big waters and all that. So they were just absolutely inundating the frequencies from DC to light, and then whatever skip was going to roll, they would have hit it because it was wide-banded, super, super wide-band. Man, you talk about a noise generator. Oh, brother. KK4CZ.
Roger, KC9VKV. I once had a science teacher said, spark gap transmitters just for code. They never could send voice, just code. And I said, well, let me see about that. And I had a 50-watt Duquesne PA amplifier that I hooked to a spark coil, and then I took the spark coil, the spark device, the gap, and just adjusted the gap very, very close. And gosh, you could send music or anything. It was kind of distorted when it ended, but as long as it was going, man, you were sending voice and music.
Yeah, it's real tinny, and yeah, as you say, distorted. And it's just, if not, the music was highly distorted, but the voice, you could make the person's voice out. So it was definitely voice communication, just like the first carbon microphone type thing. So yeah, it was interesting stuff. All right, VKV, I'm going to get out of here. Debbie's looking at me like, what are we going to do for dinner? Look, and I'm going to see what she's wanting there. And hey, Jim, it's been good, man. I love you, man. It's a lot of fun. I love amateur two-way radio, and it's just what I do. To me, HF is the core of amateur radio. Yeah, VHF is cool and all that, repeaters and satellites and and all that, and digital, whatever. And that's, amateur radio. One big, long experiment. That's all it is. We'll see you later. KK4CZ.
Roger, Brock 73, sir. Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate that. And we got to get out of here and return our frequency back to normal amateur radio use. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor clear.